Hi, I'm Sherry Mumford with Stamping at Last. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I would like to show you how to make this cute little birdhouse gift box. I saw this on YouTube. It was a video by Karen with Crafty Little Miss K. I thought it was such an adorable idea that I wanted to share it. So let's get started. So these are the pieces that you'll need to cut out for your birdhouse. I used a thick piece of cardstock for the base, 3.5 by 3.5. Then I cut out a piece of designer series paper the same size, 3.5 by 3.5, plus a 4 by 4. And you'll see that why we use that once we start putting the box together. Now this little piece of cardstock is 1 3/4 by 1 3/4, and that's going to be for the ring that goes around the opening of the birdhouse. This piece is 4 7/8 by 4 7/8. This is going to be the box. That's going to be this box part that attaches to the base. Then you'll also need the walls for the birdhouse. Now I cut my cardstock at 11 by 4, and I also cut it as a piece of designer series paper because I love this designer series paper. This is from the Magnolia Lane, and it just looks kind of vintage wallpaper looks. I really wanted that on the side of my birdhouse, but it wasn't thick enough, so I'm adhering it to my Mossy Meadow cardstock. And you can see that's going to go around the edge of the birdhouse, and when you look inside, you'll see the Mossy Meadow. Now if you just want cardstock, if you're not adhering other paper, just cut the cardstock. You won't need 2 pieces. For the roof, it's 5.5 by 3, and then there's a little cap for the roof. It's 3 by 1, and you'll see here there's going to be a little cap for the roof. So now we're going to start putting it together. We're going to start with the base. This is the 3.5 by 3.5 inch thicker type cardstock, and I'm going to put some glue on it. And and you could use either side of this paper. Either side would be really pretty for the birdhouse. And I'll kind of set it right there. You can kind of see what's going on there. But I'm going to put glue on this, and then I'm going to put the paper like that just to kind of glue it to it. And in a little bit, we're going to fold the sides up. So I'm just going to put glue on this cardstock. Oops, kind of a bit much. Just to make it stick. It doesn't have to be every single crevice on there. And then I'm going to center it because I want a bit on each side to fold over. So center it the best I can. And find my scissors. So before we fold it over, I'm just going to trim these corners off like this. Okay. And then I'm going to use some more glue. Put it right here on the edges. And I'm going to fold them over. I kind of use the table to help me get a good fold there. And I'll have to go back several times and push that down to make it stick well. Get some of that glue off my hands. I'll have a lot of glue when I do this part. Always getting on my hands. Okay, I'm going to come back, like I say, and push those down a little better. Do this to all 4 sides. And then I make sure it sticks really well. I have to find my adhesive remover and get this off my paper so my other stuff doesn't stick to it. Okay. Then this is what this other 3.5 by 3.5 piece is for. It's going to be glued right on there. Then that's going to be the bottom, and this is going to be the top. Okay. And luckily this moves a little bit if it's not quite where you want it. Let's try to press it evenly. So there's the bottom of the base. I'm going to find my score pad. So now we're going to make the little box that gets attached, and this is where we use the cardstock, which I use Mossy Meadow, that's 4 7/8 by 4 7/8. Sometimes I just double check to be sure I didn't pick the wrong piece of paper up. And then we're going to score it at 1 1/4 on all 4 sides. So I don't know if you can see this, but I'm going to score it at 1 1/4. One and a quarter on all 4 sides. Then I'm going to cut along this crease. Hopefully you can see this crease, just up to the score line. And then I'm just gonna cut this off so it'll make a little tab over here. So get rid of that piece. And I do this on all 4 sides. I just rotate it and do it 4 times. When you get done, it'll pretty much look like that. Then you fold all your scores, even the little tabs. And I just put glue on all my tabs at one time. This bottle is pretty full, so I tend to overdo it. Then just start with one side at a time and square it up. Give it a good pinch. Go to the next one. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing there. And then the last one. And that's going to be the little box. Here's the base that I had made earlier. And I'm going to put glue on the bottom of this box. Thought I felt some glue there. And then I'm just going to stick it right onto there. I don't want it to seep out, but I want it to be close to the edge. I'm just going to try to center it as much as I can into the center of that square. And if it's not exactly centered, it's not the end of the world. So that's our base in our little box. Now we're going to work on the birdhouse. So like I said, I really loved this Magnolia Lane Designer Series paper. See, that's what's on the other side. It's so pretty. But I thought this made such a cute, cute birdhouse. So in order to get this stuck to this piece of paper, I'm going to run this piece of cardstock, this 11 by 4, through my Xyron machine to get the sticky on it so that I can adhere my designer series paper. So I don't know if you've used this before, but it's very helpful. Just put it in there and turn it. Once you see it, you've got the end, just cut it off. Rub it a little bit. Peel off the plastic. And then when I peel this off, it's going to have adhesive all on the back of it. And when I adhere my designer series paper to it, it's just going to be like my designer series paper was cardstock. So this is where I try to be careful because I want to line it up flush with the edges. Because once you stick it, it's pretty much stuck. There. Then I rub it. And so there's my piece of paper. Now we're going to score for the house. We're going to score the pieces for the house. So I'm going to bring my scoreboard back out. I love my scoreboard. I use the smaller end. So we're going to score it. I've already got these marked. We're just going to score it at 2.5, 5, 7.5, and 10. 2.5. Make sure I got it good. 5. Need to look at my measurements just to be sure. Yes. 7.5 and 10. Then we're going to turn it to the side. Oh no, we're going to leave it here for just a second. I forgot, we're going to make some little notches at the top. We're going to make just a little notch at 3 3/4 and a little notch at 8 3/4. Then we're going to turn it to the side and make a notch at 2.5. No, let me be sure I get this right. Yes, a 2.5. Although I did the wrong end. It should have been the end with these other little notches. This is the end. 2.5 and 2.5. And you'll see why in just a moment. But it has to be on the right-hand side, closest to these little notches, the 2.5. Okay, so there was the little notches, those little ones we made at the top, and these are the ones we made on the sides at 2.5. Now these are the sides. We're going to just draw a pencil line. Now this is the back. You only want to draw the pencil line on the back of the cardstock. So you find each little notch and draw a straight line, which is with a pencil, very light pencil. And this is going to be inside, so you're not going to see it inside the birdhouse. You just got to be sure you can see it now. Then there's one of those little notches. We did one at 3 3/4 and one at 8 3/4. There's the top of the notch. We're going to draw a line from there to there and from there to there, just to the score line. So you're going to draw a pencil line. Be sure it's lined up good. To there, and stop at the score line, and then you do it to this side. It's easier to see when you use light colored paper. This is very dark cardstock. And then you do it as well with this little notch. I don't know if you can see the little notch. And then you do it just to the score line and that pencil mark on both sides. Into this side. So right now it's looking like that. I've got those triangles and those triangles. Now over here, you see this little if I were to go like this, you can kind of see that mark there. We're going to cut out along this score line. We're going to cut this whole little rectangle off, but we're going to cut this little triangle out too, so this whole piece is going to go. So we'll just cut this off. You can kind of see the birdhouse coming together with that shape there. On this one, you just cut along the score line to the pencil line, just as far as the pencil line. It's hard to see that score. And then same thing you do from that dot down to that pencil line. Okay. Then same thing on this one, you're going to cut out these little triangles there, so you go along the score line to the pencil line and cut this out. Same thing with this one. Okay, now this is going to be the front of the birdhouse. And we're going to want to make the little hole. So the little hole for the birdhouse is going to be in this part of it, kind of high up, about like that. Because you definitely want to leave at least 1 1/4 inches, because that's how tall this little box is. And you do it on this one, not the one closest to the tab. Now the dies that I use for this are the layering circle frameless dies. Whenever I have a set of dies, before I even take them off the cardboard, I put them in the copy machine and copy them. And that way I know if I'm using them, that I've got them all back into the container. And I can just look at this and know if any dies are missing. So for this project, we're using the 2 smallest ones, this one and this one. And the very smallest one goes here. So I'm going to run this through the Big Shot machine, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I ran this through the Big Shot. I used the smaller of the 2 dies and ran that through. Then with this piece of little paper, the cardstock you'd already cut, the 1 3/4 by 1 3/4, these dies don't nest, so you cannot do them at the same time. So you run the big one through, which I did, and then I used some removable tape, and I taped this small one right on top of the big one and ran it through. That way it's exactly lined up where it needs to be, and this is what you come up with. This is going to be glued to the little window piece of the birdhouse. So I'm going to go and glue that on there. I'm going to try real hard not to get too much glue. Like I say, this bottle has not had much used out of it, so it's still quite a bit comes out at one time. So just a little. It doesn't take much at all of this glue. And then I'm going to go ahead and adhere that while it's flat. It's the easiest time to do it. Okay. Now you can fold on that score line. And if you want to use your bone folder, you can. I think I can get it pretty compact. And you're gonna put adhesive here and close it like that. And it's gonna adhere. Now for this, I am gonna use my tear-in tape. I just want a real strong close, because when you fold it like that and you have tear-in tape on there, all you have to do is fold it, and it's gonna pick that right up. Looks like it's a little bit off there, but it'll be fine if I hold it right. So I'm just gonna probably take 2 or 3 strips of tear-in tape for this. I know you can tear it, but I like to cut it. Just have a really straight cut. It'd work just as well if you tore it. Yeah, it looks like I can get 3 on there. It's gonna make it really strong and durable. Okay, so I can get these peeled off. If I start on one corner and I can't get it to work pretty quickly, I usually just move on to another corner. Since it's 4 corners, you're definitely gonna be able to find one that'll pick it up pretty easily. There we go. Okay. So you're just gonna lay it flat and then fold this over. It's gonna be perfectly lined up. Now you'll notice I didn't like fold these or score there, because when I put the roof on, I'm just gonna kind of bend it. It doesn't have to be folded or scored, you know, with a bone folder or anything. It's just gonna be a slight curve. Now we're gonna work on the roof. The roof is this 5.5 by 3-inch piece, and there's this 3-inch by 1 inch. The roof, we're going to score at 2 3/4. So a scoreboard on the long edge. So we're doing 2 3/4 right there. And then this little cap that goes on top of the roof is just in 1/2 inch. That's why I love to use the scoreboard. It's so easy to score this little piece, just 1/2 inch. Now, for this roof, you notice it has a textured, like a wood texture. I used my wood grain embossing folder. Now, they don't have this one available from Stampin' Up anymore, but they have one called Pine Wood Planks, which is also wood. So that would work just as well as this, but I already had this one, so I'm using this one. And before I run this through the Big Shot, I kind of fold it a little bit, because once I get this on there, it's a little hard to see my crease. So I folded this. Now I'm gonna run this through the Big Shot with my embossing folder. Okay. I love how this turns out. It just adds so much to that roof. And I can still see my fold, so that's great. And I'm going to kind of see how I'm gonna line it up before I oh, first we're gonna put this cap on there. We're gonna put the cap on the roof. So just fold it in 1/2. It's gonna go like that. So I just put glue in here. And put it right on top of there. Fold it and just kind of hold it in place until it's pretty dry. I flatten it out again, do this, then I'll fold it again. Just to be sure it's gonna stick. Got a little bit of glue there. That is so cute. I think the cap adds a lot to it. I saw that in the video that I had watched when I was learning how to do this. That just really adds a good touch to it. Now when I put the roof on, I'm gonna put glue there and there, and I'm gonna line it up. So I'm kind of looking at it now just to be sure before I put it on there. I want this point to be in the middle, about the same amount on each side. I kind of play with it to get in the right spot. So I'm just gonna go ahead and glue up these sides. I love this gift box. I want to get plenty because, you know, when you run something through the embossing, with the embossing folder, it has little ridges. Okay. You may have to play with it a little bit to get it lined up, but you've got time before this dries. Yeah, that looks like a good spot. So pretty much line it up. And when I made a couple other samples, I kind of got a little bit off, but I was able to pull it apart and not waste my paper or anything and able to finish it up. Okay, you can kind of lay it on the edge there and push down on that glue on both sides. Kind of push down in there when you've got it laying down. That is so cute. Oh my gosh. Okay. Then I decorated this birdhouse with little birds I cut out from the Bird Ballad Designer Series paper. Now you could use the Free as a Bird stamp set. I believe that's what she did in her video. You can stamp that little bird and color it and cut it, fussy cut it, and then color your flowers and everything. But this Bird Ballad Designer Series paper pretty much has it done for you. See how pretty that is? It has birds, it has flowers. That's what's on the other side. This one just has birds. I think I cut a bird out of this one, stripes. But I thought it turned out just beautiful with this. Let me find the little pieces I've already cut out. Found them. Okay. So I cut these out from the Bird Ballad Designer Series paper. So cute. And the little flowers. Now my leaves, I used my Sizzlet's Little Leaves embossing folder. But if you don't have this, there's plenty of die sets and other punches Stampin' Up! Has to make leaves. So you can do whatever you want to with decorating your birdhouse. I love the idea of the leaves. And I just kind of put them randomly, kind of decide where I want them to be before I actually place the bird on there. In fact, it might look cuter like that. Decide where this little bird's gonna go. Maybe like that. Yeah, that'll look cute. So I just put little dots of glue on the back of the leaves. And just where they kind of stick up a little too, you don't want to glue all the way down. Just enough to get them to stick on there. You can reach under there. Then decide where you want to place your bird. And so the bird, you can see the head's gonna be there. So I'm only gonna put glue kind of on this back part because when you put something inside that box, you don't want it sticking to that bird. There we go. And then these flowers, a little beak to show. I'm gonna put the flowers there so the birds will be kind of nested between the flowers and those. Maybe I'll put the leaves up. So there's a little bit of contrast with the color of the flowers and the bird. A little too much glue. So just put some glue on those flowers. Isn't that so cute? I do have these other little leaves, and I think those would be cute up here. Just add a little more greenery to it. If you want to, you can put some butterflies on your birdhouse. So that's it. And I think candy is always a cute idea to put in there. Also, there's like 3 of those Lindor chocolates will go in there, or Ghirardelli. I'm able to fit 3 of those, just stack them up. If you're worried about them coming out, you can use removable tape. Of course, I probably got too big of a piece, but you can go like that if you're worried they're gonna move about too much in your box. But this is the one I just made, so be sure it fits well. See how cute that is? And it's easy to do if you're making them for a group, like a ladies' tea party or any kind of get-together. You want a little giveaway for everyone or for an office. What I did when I changed the size of this birdhouse, it started out taller, the video I was watching, but I wanted to be able to get at least 3 birdhouses out of one piece of 12 by 12 designer paper. That's why I made mine shorter, and I think it turned out really well. I hope you like it. I hope you enjoy making this, and look forward to doing another video with you soon. Thank you.